everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now I know it's been a little while since I last filmed or posted anything on here, and the only excuse I've really got is that pregnancy is hard work. I've just not had the energy or the motivation to even think about filming videos or anything like that, to be honest, so that is my only excuse. But I thought it was about time that I jumped on here and gave you a bit of an update. So I'm now 30 weeks pregnant, so I'm into my third trimester, which is just crazy, to be honest. I can't believe how quick the time is actually going now. So yeah, I'm 30 weeks at the moment, and I thought it'd be a good time to sort of recap my second trimester for you. So I don't think it's the last video that I did, but one of the previous videos I talked through my first trimester and my symptoms and how I sort of coped and managed with that. So I thought I'd do something similar for my second trimester as well, for anybody that is interested. Now I'm going to do this in a slightly different format. So I think for my first trimester video I sort of went week by week. I'm not going to do it quite the same for this one, because I'll be quite honest, I did start making notes week by week, and I think I got to about week 16 or 17 and I was so fed up I just gave up. So I have got, yeah, I've got up to sort of week 16, 17 broken down, and then I'm just going to talk quite generally about how the second trimester has been for me. Now again, a disclaimer that, you know, everybody's journeys and everyone's pregnancies are going to be different, so this is just my own experience, my journey as a first time mum as well, so the first time I'm going through all of this. Obviously it is going to be different for everybody, but same as my previous videos, you know, there might be a couple of things in there that help you out, or you might just be interested if you're maybe looking to get pregnant, or you are currently in your first trimester wondering what's going to be coming up in the next few months, or maybe you just enjoy videos like this, who knows. Also, apologies if my voice sounds a little bit strange or if I start coughing or anything. I have been poorly for the last few days. So we went on a little baby moon last week, and I don't know if I've caught something there or on the plane, but yeah, I've not been feeling great the last few days since we got back, so I've got a bit of a cough and a sore throat, and again feeling rubbish, but luckily got a little bit more energy today, so we will see how we go anyway. So I'm going to jump straight in because I'm not quite sure how long this video is going to be, and I don't want to ramble too much because, to be honest, you'll just get bored and turn off anyway. So I'm going to start with the notes that I had written down for, well, starting at week 13, and we will go from there. As I say, it probably won't follow any sort of particular format or anything. I will probably just waffle on, but that's, I find, is the best way for me to get out what I want to say anyway. So going through my notes, week 13, I've put here that I thought I was feeling better, but week 13 ended up being the worst yet. So I do remember this, to be honest. So obviously, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that my first trimester wasn't the best. I didn't have the best experience. I was quite poorly throughout those first few months of pregnancy, and you know, people tell you how the second trimester you get all this energy back and you feel amazing, and I somehow thought, you know, I'd wake up on that first day of sort of week 12, 13 or whatever, and I'd feel great. Week 13 actually, yeah, it did start off okay, and I remember telling people, yeah, I'm feeling great now, I'm into my second trimester, it's all uphill from here. And then I got so poorly, that was, as I've written down, it was the worst week yet, I think, for just feeling awful, for the nausea, for the lack of energy, for just feeling absolutely rotten. So that wasn't the best start to my second trimester. So yeah, I've noted down here, extreme fatigue, nausea, headache, off sick from work, and didn't leave the house for 3 days, struggling to eat anything. So yeah, delightful week for me there, week 13. So as I say, second trimester did not start off that great. Then moving on to weeks 14 and 15, I've got sickness a little better, but still struggling, more in the evenings. So this was a case throughout my first trimester as well, that my nausea and sickness tended to be worse in the evenings. Energy levels still low, food is not appealing, and towards the end of week 15, eating now making me feel sick. So while in my first trimester I found that eating was probably the only thing that stopped me from feeling sick, it then sort of flipped around. the start of the second trimester, where I'd be eating and then that was causing me to feel sick, which is again not exactly ideal. I've then put that I was craving more sweet foods, waffles, pancakes, cakes, sweets and fruit, so my cravings sort of switched to more sweet cravings. And we did have a gender scan during week 15 and we found out that we are having a baby girl. So I sort of thought, I had a feeling from our 12-week scan and just from, I think, you know, people tell you that if you're having a girl you feel a lot more poorly. So I already had a feeling that it was going to be a girl, but we had that confirmed for us. So that was super exciting, and it was just something really nice and positive to sort of get me through, well, what had been a sort of rough few weeks. So that was a nice end to week 15 for us. Then for week 16, nausea finally settling, a little more energy, managing to do more for myself now. So rather than getting my partner to pretty much do everything for me, because I didn't even have the energy to get up off the sofa most of the time, I was actually managing to do things myself, just like getting myself a drink or a snack from the fridge. Like that was a big breakthrough for me, and it sounds ridiculous now and probably does to, well, especially if you haven't been pregnant before and you haven't experienced that pregnancy fatigue. It probably does, yeah, it does sound ridiculous, but at the time, yeah, it was just like, this is amazing. I want to do everything for myself now because I actually can. And yeah, so that was week 16. Things finally started to feel a little bit better. Still craving sweet foods, but also have more of an appetite for normal foods. So this was also the point where I could start eating like proper food, so we could have the same sort of meals, whereas for the first, well, 15, 16 weeks of the pregnancy, I was literally just having to eat what I could. So I'd sort of have a thought of, oh, I think I can eat that, and then I'd have to eat it because nothing else would appeal to me and it would just make me feel sick. And eating a lot of rubbish, to be honest, just to get food inside me. But this was the first week that I actually felt like I could eat normal foods and normal meals. I've also put that bump really becoming noticeable at week 16, so I think I started to pop at that point as well, which is very exciting. So I think this is the point where I stopped noting down particular symptoms. So I've just got some general notes now for the sort of rest of the second trimester. So I'll just go through what I've noted down and try and think back, and I'll elaborate where I can on things. Now I do remember week 17 because, well, for two reasons really. The first one I've got here is this is when I first felt movements. So the first sort of movements that I felt, it felt like little bubbles popping, which I had heard that it can either feel like butterflies or little flutters or like bubbles. For me it was more like the popping bubbles feeling that I felt. So that was first in week 17, was the first time I sort of felt anything. And week 17 was also when I got signed off work for, well, it ended up being for 4 weeks I think I was off work. Just because, to be honest, mentally and physically I was just struggling with everything. Obviously my job is very physical and I was finding it tough because I guess I wasn't able to do the things I used to be able to do. My body's changing. Throughout this pregnancy I have suffered quite a lot with just, you know, pains and things. I think because my body's quite small, like I've got quite a small frame, and naturally I have a very flat stomach and things like that. The stretching and all, I don't know, I guess like your hips move and everything's growing and stretching and everything's been very uncomfortable and painful. I've had like dizziness, obviously the nausea and everything, which was still there at this point. It was better, but it was still there, and I was struggling a lot to do my job, and that, as well as not being able to train properly in the gym, was all affecting me mentally as well. So I was really struggling. Yeah, I ended up getting signed off work for a few weeks, which was tough at the time, but in the longer run, it's, you know, I did need that. I needed that break, and it did allow me then to go back to work for, I think, about 10 weeks I went back to work for, until I finished for maternity leave just over a week ago. So I have finished for my maternity leave quite early, but I kind of needed to as well in a way. But that's probably for another video or something anyway. But it does sort of tie in with what I'm talking about here. So yeah, I thought I'd mention it. By the way, if I look like I've been crying, it's because I'm literally having a coughing fit every 2 seconds. It's like, oh, you know, when you just get a tickle and a little pain in the back of your throat. Oh gosh, it's horrible. I hate being poorly. I can't even take anything for it because pregnancy and all of that. But anyway, I'll do my best to carry on. So just going back to my notes that I've written down as well, I'd put no energy, headaches, nausea still there. I was off sick. I was doing like little bits of exercise, so things like yoga, going for walks. But even walking was a struggle for me because I was getting a lot of hip and pelvic pain after walking for about half an hour. So yeah, everything was a bit of a struggle at that point. The next notes I've got written down are then from sort of week 20. So this is when I felt the first proper kicks. So that's when I really started to feel her moving, and he could, well, my partner could feel as well. So that was really nice. It's a bizarre, strange feeling, but it's, yeah, it is nice as well, and it obviously helps to start create that bond as well. So yeah, that was a nice time, sort of starting to feel those kicks properly. And I've also got nausea starting to get better and managing more exercise. So it was around, it would have been week 21 when I went back to work. So I was feeling better in terms of being able to move better, having a bit more energy, and actually being able to teach classes again and go to the gym myself again as well. I've just noted down that just having to take it easy. So while I could exercise more and I was able to do more physically, it was just a case of pulling back and, yeah, just like lighter weights in the gym. It's really like adapting things to what my body was able to do now in terms of, you know, physically and just energy levels I had at the time. I've then put that I had a couple of weeks of better sleep. So sleep has been difficult again throughout this whole pregnancy. First trimester more so because of the nausea, which literally hit me like 24/7. So I would be feeling sick all through the night, obviously having to get up to pee, and then you're awake and feeling poorly and then struggling to settle again. And as I mentioned before, in terms of like the pains and things, struggling with hip pain from quite early on. So yeah, sleep has been very difficult. So luckily I had a couple of weeks where I did sleep a lot better. But yeah, it didn't last long, unfortunately, and we are back to now going to the toilet God knows how many times a night and struggling to turn over, struggling to get comfortable. Baby's kicking me all night, so I am grateful for those couple of weeks at least. So if you are struggling yourself, then hopefully you will get some relief at some point and make the most of it if you do get that. I'd say as well, after around week 20, that's when like baby obviously started to get more active, so we were able to feel the kicks a little bit better, and also she was starting to get into a little bit more of a pattern. So I know they don't develop a set pattern until really the 3rd trimester, but definitely evenings, every evening around 10:30, 11 o'clock, she would be rolling around and kicking in there like crazy. So that was like my nightly entertainment. I'd be so excited. I'd like get showered and in my pyjamas and comfortable, and then I'd just wait for baby to wake up, and then I'd just be like feeling a move in there. And then I'd be playing a game of like seeing if I could see the kicks, and then yeah, slowly but surely you'd start to see little movements as well. So it was quite entertaining really. We'd literally just sit there at night or after we'd gone to bed and just lie there and watch for the movements on my tummy. Yeah, like a little game really, which was cute. So yeah, evenings were definitely more of an active period for baby, and as I say, she's starting to get into some kind of routine, I suppose. Early mornings and late in the evening, which I don't know if that's just because during the day when you're a bit busier you don't really notice as much, which could be true. But yeah, evenings were, that was, as I say, that was our sort of nightly entertainment for a while. Then moving on, I've got weeks 25 to 28, so I've written down struggling with hormones and emotions. Now, struggling with sort of the hormones and everything has been a struggle throughout. I think it probably is for most women, but I felt it really hit around that, I guess, well, I've noted down 25 to 28, so around the 25-week mark. Yeah, I started to find things, I don't know if I'd say tough, but like literally I'd just start crying over absolutely nothing. I'd be up and down, just getting angry over nothing, getting upset over nothing, and then I'd feel really great. It's, yeah, absolute roller coaster. So that hit at around that point. I put that things starting to feel real, so maybe that as well had a bit of an effect on it. So we're starting to buy more things, we're starting to prepare the nursery, and everything's just really starting to feel real. And even though, you know, I could feel her in my belly at this point, and like she's definitely there, it's still, it is so bizarre. It's, at times it just doesn't feel right. Even now, I can't believe there's a little human inside me who's going to be here in like a matter of weeks. But I think that point where it really started to hit home, like, oh wow, like this is happening, we're going to have a tiny human with us pretty soon, I think that hit my emotions and everything as well. So it was just a mixture of like overwhelm. Everything was making me feel overwhelmed. Thinking about everything that we need to do, everything we need to buy, what we need to prepare. The fact that I don't know anything about babies, like everything was like, whoa, this is all a bit much. And yes, it did hit me quite hard a few times, let's say, but generally emotions and hormones just up and down. But like I say, I know that's normal, but again, I guess for anyone watching this that is maybe a little bit earlier on in their pregnancy, it might just be something to not watch out for, but just to bear in mind that come that sort of mid 20-week point, it might get a little bit hectic again. But it's all good. Like I feel a lot better right now. I know the next few weeks are gonna be, well, I think they're just gonna go so fast I'm not even gonna have a chance to think about anything. But yeah, I do feel better now. Like I say, it was just a few weeks where it was a bit up and down, but all good, don't worry. I've then put that very little nausea now, so finally, eventually, the nausea, I wouldn't say went away 100%, but it pretty much went. Like I could get on with my day without thinking about it. It wasn't affecting me in any way. It was just there kind of in the background on some days, but compared to like how I felt in the first trimester, we'll just say it went. Because when you compare it to that, honestly, it's nothing. So nausea's gone at this point, but extreme tiredness started to creep back in. I've got from around week 27. So as I approached the third trimester, my energy levels just dropped again. So I had a few weeks. It came again, it didn't come right at the start of the second trimester. It was a good few weeks in when I started to finally feel a little bit of a boost of energy. I wanted to do things. I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to clean the house. And I felt like I could do those for the first time in weeks. And then energy levels started to drop again around week 27. I was finding I was having to take naps again. The smallest little things were making me so tired. Yeah, it felt very similar to the first trimester, which is annoying because now's the time where I want to be doing everything to prepare for baby, and my body's like, no, you need to go and rest. And big tip, if you need to rest, if your body's telling you to rest, just rest, because as people keep telling me, make the most of it now, because when baby's here, we're just not going to have the chance, are we? So yeah, take the naps if you need them. Why the heck not? We are doing enough right now growing our little tiny humans. So yeah, I've also got feeling very uncomfortable as bump is tight. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, in terms of like because my body's so small, I guess, everything's got to stretch so much, so my bump is very tight. It's literally all baby in there. I don't really have any fat around the area, so it's literally just baby. And even though my bumps are not massive, I'm still struggling with my mobility. Like, I can barely put my shoes and socks on. Bending over is difficult. Everything's difficult. Everything's uncomfortable. So I'm back to just feeling a bit deflated because, yeah, there's no position where I feel comfortable. I'm getting the lower back pain. I've got a pain in my back down here somewhere. I don't know if it's from the bump pulling. I don't know, but not feeling great, I'll be honest. Yeah, very uncomfortable. Also pains around the belly button, which I don't know if I've had some muscle strain or if it is literally just from the expanding, the pulling. My belly button is now pretty much an outie as well, so that has popped. But yeah, a lot of pains around the belly button and down into my hips as well. And lower back pain, which I've just mentioned. Walking getting more difficult. I can't walk very far. It is quite painful. So like my pelvis and my hips, my lower back, they get sore quite quickly when I'm walking. I've got my little waddle going on, which I think is hilarious, to be honest. Just waddling around, get out of breath very quickly. And yeah, everything's just quite tough, but it's all part of it, isn't it? And I guess we just got to embrace these things. Even though it's been tough, this pregnancy so far, and I can't see it getting any easier now. I've only got, what, 9 and a bit weeks left to go. I will in some ways miss it because, you know, it is special, it's magical, isn't it? But yeah, very uncomfortable. And then the last bit I've put down here is struggling to eat large meals, and in the evenings I feel so full and sick. So yeah, I'm getting a bit of nausea back and have done since the end of the second trimester. So the last few weeks the nausea started to sort of creep back in. It does feel different to the first trimester, and a lot of it is more of like, you know, when you've eaten too much and you just feel so full and you feel sick from that. It's that kind of feeling. So come the end of the day, I'm struggling to eat, and I can't eat large meals because I think with, I guess, everything so squashed in there, digestion slows down and all of that. That is definitely having an effect. I can feel that. So I'm just eating smaller meals throughout the day and trying to eat earlier on when I am actually hungry, because I know later on I'm just not going to feel like eating because I'm not going to feel well and I'm just going to have that full feeling. So again, it's just adapting, to the changes in your body, really. I have had some like acid reflux, not a lot to be honest, and I haven't had any heartburn, which is quite lucky, I think, because that's one of the main symptoms, I think, when you're pregnant. So even though it's been tough in some ways, I think I have been lucky in other respects. So I'm trying not to be too down about the whole thing, because I know it could be a lot worse. And all in all, I think the second trimester, I think I was a little bit disappointed because I didn't feel that like glow. I've never felt the glow, I'll be honest. People tell me, oh, you're glowing, and I'm like, you're joking. I just put a bit of makeup on because I look like death underneath it. But I haven't still, and I guess I'm not gonna at this point. I don't feel like I've really experienced that glow, that massive boost of energy that people talk about. But sort of looking back now that I'm into the third trimester, I definitely did have more energy in the second trimester. I did feel a lot better. Obviously the nausea eventually went away, sleep got a bit better. Yeah, so it wasn't an easy ride, but definitely better than the first trimester, and I think from how I'm feeling so far, better than the third trimester is going to be. But yeah, that's just my experience, and I can't really think of anything else to add on to there. I think the notes that I made pretty much cover everything. If anyone's got any specific questions or anything that I've not covered that you might be worried about, then leave me a comment down below and I will get back to you on those. But hopefully that was quite a positive review, second trimester review, I don't know. Let me know what you thought anyway. I'd be interested to know how other people are feeling, if you had any weird symptoms. Oh, that's one thing, cravings. I haven't really had, like, people keep asking me if you had any weird cravings. No, I don't think I have. I've had the odd craving that might last a couple of days. Like I mentioned already, I had some like sweet cravings, so I wanted waffles and pancakes, but I wouldn't say that was really, it was definitely not weird, and it's not really a proper craving as such. What else? I really don't think I've had anything that I can think of. Definitely nothing crazy, nothing weird, nothing, you know, that I'm going to be able to tell cool stories about in years to come in terms of how weird my pregnancy was. But yeah, if anyone's had any strange cravings, let me know. And yeah, anything else that stood out to you in your second trimester, leave me a comment, because I'm just interested to see other people's experiences as well, really, because yeah, like I say, everyone's pregnancy is so different, and it is interesting to see and hear other people's stories and see how they felt, and like how much it really does differ for everybody. Yeah, so leave me any comments down below. If you've got any questions, let me know. I am planning on starting packing my hospital bag this week, I think. So I will do a video on that for anybody that's interested. I'll give some updates on things we've bought for baby and the nursery in the next few weeks, and I've got a few ideas for some different videos. So now that I'm on maternity leave, I have got a little bit more time, so hopefully I will be able to upload a little bit more frequently. But you can always follow me on like Instagram and TikTok as well. I do post a little bit more on those. But yeah, for now I will leave this here because I have definitely rambled on for too long. But nice to be back, and I will hopefully see you again soon. Take care everyone, bye.